Promotional consideration paid for by the following. The Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, Scott M. Gray, D.C., across from the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. For further information, dial 740-386-6580. Also located on the net at goodbackbadback.com. Dryce Roofing and Contracting, LLC, located at 370 East Church Street, right here in Marion. For more information, call 740-751-9516. Specializing in roofing, siding, decks, garages, windows, pole buildings, and complete homes. For more information, again, call Dan Rice, 740-751-9516. Hey, Scott Spears along with you on a Thursday edition of The Exchange, joined by Norma Jacob, Charlie Evers, Marianne Michaels, George Casotis, and Martha Douse-Manesi. We are having a good time this week on The Exchange. Going to give the answer to yesterday's quizzer question. Who considered Mount Pinatubo's eruption to be God punishing the government for not allowing her hubby to be buried in his homeland? That was Imelda Marcos who did that. She was kind of an angry woman to begin with.
So that must be in the Philippines then.
Philippines.
She had 300 and some pair of shoes.
Oh yeah, she was known for how many pairs of shoes.
Kind of a raucous lady.
And she didn't want to move all those shoes to bury him.
No, she didn't. She wanted right there in the Mount Pinatubo area. Charlie, we haven't talked about the box all week. Let's get a shot of the box over here. Charlie, tell them about the box.
I can't tell them anything about the box because I don't know what's in it.
We don't know what's in this box, but here's what's happened.
I hope there's money in it.
Well, I wouldn't hold your breath, Charlie. Here's what happened. This box was delivered 2 to 3 weeks ago. This box says, "Enter if you dare." There is a skeleton hanging on this box. It is for Charlie Evers. It says, "Do not open until Halloween, October the 31st. So on this show, Norma, we will pull that box open. And something will come out of that box. Maybe someone, maybe something. Who knows what's in the box?
Is it full of money?
I doubt it. What do you think? What do you think, Norma?
Charlie's going to open?
On October the 31st, Halloween.
I can hardly wait.
What do you think, Norma?
Well, I think maybe what's that? The animal?
The chimpanzee?
No, the
Groundhog.
Oh, the groundhog.
I
It'll be a little early for you. It's still sleeping.
I think they'll have a stuffed groundhog.
A stuffed groundhog in there.
I think it's going to be the Great Pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin. I think it might be somebody coming out of there to shave Charlie's head. I've heard suspect to that. Yeah, Charlie, what do you think when that happens?
That wouldn't be good. I think it'd be turned into a clothespin.
Oh boy, Charlie, you keep going after those people. They're going to come at you. Norma, have you ever met Buckeye Cluck?
No, Chuck.
No, this is Buckeye Cluck.
Oh, Cluck. Oh, no,
This is Buckeye Cluck. This came a few weeks ago.
How do you do?
Yeah, there you go. If you press Buckeye Cluck.
Yes, here.
Press there. Now that's entertainment value, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Look at, whoa! Buckeye Cluck went down.
He cut himself to death.
There you go, Buckeye. But that's Buckeye Cluck.
I didn't.
That's Charlie's newest pal. Sits up here on the desk. That's from another one of his people that he's made fun of, the bald. Charlie, what is your beef? Does it go back to childhood? You don't like people with shaved heads?
I think, listen, these same people would probably jump over a cliff if somebody went ahead of them. They're all imitating, what was his name with the lollipop?
Telly Savalas.
Telly Savalas.
Kojak.
Kojak.
Kojak. They're all imitating, Kojak shaved his head, so all these guys want to look like Kojak. And same with a lot of, why do men wear their caps backwards? You know, you have a bill back here, what for? We're in a strange era of people wanting to look like somebody else, like the pants that drag the people. Men don't buy pants anymore on inseam. They just buy them if they got legs on them, and they'll fold up like an accordion near their foot because they're way too long. You ever notice that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there's the extreme, the ones that wear the rear of their pants on the ground.
Charlie, it's all called Vogue.
Vogue?
You have to be in vogue.
I'm glad I'm almost 77. I don't have to
worry about Vogue.
Yeah, right.
Well, but wasn't there something in your day, Charlie, that was in style that maybe your parents would have said, hey, what are you doing?
We had ducktail haircuts.
Yes.
Slick back. But those guys were, they weren't humble people.
That's being kind.
Yeah, yes. But what else? No, that's about the biggest
Boy,
thing
it used to be you have to wear a tie. You have to wear a...
At work, yes.
Yeah,
No,
but that's went by the wayside.
it sure has.
Yeah, I don't know. I think times change. I think the sports figures just don't want to have their hair pulled. Couldn't that? I mean, is that?
The original guy that wore his cap backwards was a catcher on a baseball team. Now all these guys want to be baseball catchers.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the face mask got in the way of the bill.
That's right.
You had to
Yeah,
turn it around.
that's legal. I mean, that was fine to turn your cap around because of your face mask. But you don't wear a face mask all around and still have your head.
But I'm just saying the shaved head thing might have something to do if you're playing basketball.
No.
I thought it was
Now-
a Yul Brynner thing.
Well, Yul Brynner, maybe Kojak copied off of him. It's gone.
But the young people today, Charlie, have no idea who Yul Brynner is or Kojak.
Or style.
No, but you don't believe that possibly if you're playing football or you're playing basketball, you wouldn't want your hair pulled or sweaty inside
No, a
the...
lot of those football players have real long hair.
Well,
yeah,
sure,
those-
but I think that's a preference.
What do they call some of those guys have more hair sticking out of their helmet than they do under their helmet?
Well, what is the proper length for a man to cut his hair then? See, I don't know. It's a little shaky, Charlie.
Yeah.
Let's get into fascinating facts for this.
Okay, and I wanted to compliment Marion County. You can't go anywhere in this county and find a bad bridge. We've been able to periodically replace all of our bridges in Marion County, in contrast to some of our surrounding counties that you're afraid to cross some of their bridges because they've never been repaired. But here in this county, one after another, we replace bridges, and that's great. That's a feather in Marion County's hat.
I'm glad to hear that.
Tomorrow you're going to hear something different.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a repeat. We'll go to Marianne Michaels for Words of Wisdom today, Thursday.
Essayist Henry David Thoreau says this: "The world is but a canvas to our imagination." And that's true.
I like that.
Use your imagination and you create a different kind of a world.
You know,
Those are my words.
oh, that's good, Marianne. That's it. Pat yourself on the back as we go along. I think that's good. What I want to get into today, we didn't get into it on Monday because we ran out of time reminiscing, but there was recently a Republican debate, and the big thing that came out of that debate was that Governor Perry of Texas referred to Social Security as a Ponzi scheme. Kind of interesting, kind of made all the papers the next day and went around. I watched that thing live, and it was very confusing because even the people on stage with him, Bachman and Romney and Ron Paul and all these people, Newt Gingrich, all disagreed with him. And he really seemed like he was out on a limb
Well,
when
Romney
he said
had
that.
the best comeback because he said, we're not getting rid of Social Security. It needs to be fixed, but it's not a Ponzi scheme.
Why would the man who says it's a Ponzi scheme be running first in the polls? Now, I understand we don't have any new polling now that he said this, but see, here's what I don't get about America right now. I don't understand this, and it has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. But why would a man who says Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, I've never heard, be running first in the polls? I've never heard of somebody 65 saying, don't give me the Social Security check, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I don't get that whole frame of reference. Half the people who are on welfare are voting for these people who want to abolish welfare. I mean, I don't understand that logic. What is that, Charlie?
I don't know, but we can't do without Social Security. Millions of people would starve. I mean, because that's the only income many of us have. Many of us didn't have 401ks or pension programs. Now, the Ponzi scheme might have entered into that to where some people invested,
Right.
and their investment money was squandered, misplaced. But
That's going to haunt him in the coming months. It really will, because I think even the Republicans thought that was way off base, as well as his comments about the budget person being treason.
Yeah.
No, being
Ben Bernanke.
Bernanke being treasonous.
But they all said they would fire him. Romney didn't say that he was treasonous, but he said he would definitely get rid of him. Thinks Bernanke's done a bad job. George, Social Security, my goodness, to call it a Ponzi scheme when you're running for president, is that a sharp move?
Oh, those comments are ridiculous. Some of those candidates that are running, especially Newt Gingrich, he went on his vacation to Europe, and his people were collecting monies or, getting monies for his campaign, and he was over there spending money. So what did they do? All of his campaign, they quit. They walked out of the offices and quit. So when he comes back from his vacation, he says, elect me president because I will cut government. Everybody will quit.
Well, it's interesting, George, because as I think Marianne has said at times, all these people who want to cut government are trying to get a job in government. So what is it doesn't make any sense. Norma, what do you make of...
Time magazine had an article last week. They took all these different candidates and told what the pork things that they did.
Yes.
And how can they blamed the Democrats for everything, and they were doing the same thing themselves. I don't understand how they can be so two-faced about the whole thing.
Well, I think a politician is a politician. I mean, there are good ones. I know there are. But and I like Ronald Reagan. I was alive during his presidency, and I think he should be revered. But we almost revere him now more than Franklin Roosevelt, which is kind of a strange thing, because nothing Reagan did is ever going to measure up to FDR.
Well, our debt grew more when he was in there than when anybody else did.
That's very true.
Who did?
Reagan.
Reagan.
Tripled the deficit
when
he was president. Why is, Charlie, this is interesting, why is Reagan so revered?
Well, that's what I've been wondering all along. You hear the Republicans go back to Reagan to have somebody to praise, but there's been some bushes in between.
But I think they want to trim those bushes down.
Never hear the Republicans saying, well, by golly, when George was president, it always goes back to, that's the only person they can pick on, right? Or, use as an example.
Well, they certainly don't want to go back to Nixon.
Or Hoover. Hoover was going to put a chicken in every pot.
Well, I mean, when you think of it, and this is just fact.
In every pot,
well,
one car in every garage.
Yeah.
Let's talk fact. If we're going to go back from now until I can remember, just from history, you've got the Bushes; those were the Republicans. Then Reagan, who they revere. Then you've got Ford, who was never elected, so nobody jumps on his bandwagon.
He was just a nice guy.
He was.
I liked Bush 1. I really respected him.
Well, then,
he was a gentleman.
Let me give you a quickie quiz. I wonder if anybody here can answer. What Republican president cut the taxes every year that he was in office?
Reagan.
Wasn't Harding, was it? Harding had a balanced budget.
Bush the first.
Bush 1, Bush 41.
Bush,
I
no?
thought it was Reagan.
How about Clinton?
Was it?
It was Coolidge.
Really?
Oh,
Republican.
yeah,
Republican.
Republican. Yeah.
And what happened? We had the big depression right after Coolidge was in there.
Who was it?
Coolidge.
Calvin
You
Coolidge,
cannot
Silent
cut- You
Cal.
cannot cut taxes and maintain your budget. You can't do it. You've got to pay for everything that you want.
It's kind of an interesting thing. We're going to continue. Martha, do you want to say something on this?
I want to say something about Social Security.
Go ahead.
The other day, I went to the mailbox and I got a great big envelope. I opened it up and it said they want some money and my signature. Mary Ann, you said something about not voting for anything from Washington D.C., didn't you, a month or so ago?
No, I said that, I'm very upset with all politicians, period.
Well, what
That's what I
should
said.
I do? Just
What does it
forget
say? What does it say?
Oh, that's an outfit that wants you to give money to
Yes.
back up the Social Security
Jim
system.
Jordan.
Don't do it.
No.
Save your money.
Save your money.
Well, that's what we have our representatives and our senators
That's
for.
right.
They are to represent us.
Right.
Well,
Now,
I'm
somebody
glad you
is
told
wanting,
me
they're just wanting money to pay, they're self-promoting,
I can't get along
campaign.
without my Social Security.
Yeah, none of us
I don't
can.
think you have to worry about, if nobody's going to touch Social
Somebody's
Security.
always
I mean,
trying
that
to
would
get
be
their
a
money back.
death knell for any politician. I'm sorry, because people need Social Security, and they live by it. And
Yeah, but Mary Ann, George W. Bush, and 9/11 kind of sent this in another direction, but he ran on, if we can remember, George W. ran on the idea that you could take your Social Security, it would be made available to you before 65, not to spend, but you could put it in the stock market, you could put it
oh
wherever
yes,
you
but
want
you
to.
know what happens to the stock
But
market?
people elected him on that. People want that money. It's very strange.
I know, but you can't count on the stock market.
But do you think if a guy like Perry ran along the same lines, saying, I'm going to let you put your money in something and it's not going to be controlled, don't you
No.
think people would vote for it? You don't?
I don't know, but you know
People are
something,
not-
I think that, really, I don't think Perry's
I
going
don't
to
know,
make it.
there's
I think that the one from Massachusetts that just talked about it.
Romney.
Romney, I think he is the most presidential
So
of
do
them
I.
all. Although I do like John Huntsman.
Not a bad guy.
John Huntsman, to me, has class, but he's not that well known. He's not that well known. But I really think in the end, it's going to be Romney.
I think it will be Romney, but I think I saw Romney perform last night. You know what? Romney could be president.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
that's
was-
not a shock.
he
That,
was-
that would not shock me.
He did a very good job last night, I thought.
Casoto, it's George.
Ronald Reagan and I have something in common. In 1975, I was at Marion General Hospital, and he was in Bethesda Hospital, and we're both having colonoscopies.
Slip that right in.
That is monumental.
Monumental moment. We're going to write that one down. But Charlie, you don't believe there is a group in this country who believed our president was not an American. You think they won't vote for Social Security?
They'd vote for anything, probably.
No,
Yeah, I mean, that's the
A little
point.
bit off center.
when I was in the room in the television that same day, I looked at the television, and Reagan was waving out of the Bethesda, Maryland hospital and saying, "I just had a colonoscopy." It was funny. It was on television.
I don't know where you follow that up, Norma. You want to take this one after that? What do you think?
I just say that there's a plenitude of ignorance out there.
Yes,
Oh,
there
exactly.
is.
Bravo,
There's a
bravo.
plenitude
There
of
is.
ignorance.
Right.
Martha?
And we're being fed a lot of
I just
Thing.
had a great granddaughter. Her name is Reagan Louise. I'm Martha Louise. I have a daughter, Luann Louise, and her mother, Heidi Louise, had a baby, Reagan Louise, and she's named after the president.
Going right down. Oh, well, there you go. I knew there was a tie-in coming there.
Reagan
Reagan.
is a nice name, but it's also a name out of Shakespeare.
But you know
Is
what?
it really?
More people have
Spelled
named their
differently, though.
kids Reagan because of Ronald Reagan. That name has
Well,
become
why don't
prevalent.
they spell it that way?
It's
They
spelled
spell it
differently.
R-E-G-A-N.
Right, right.
Why don't they
Oh, that.
Why don't they call it R-E-A-G?
How about the people that named their children Caitlin? Spelled 100 different ways.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
C-A, yeah.
The poor kids have to.
Students named Reagan.
How did we
Oh,
get
you'll
from
have to be a
politics to
teacher.
names?
I don't know, but we're going to do a show tomorrow because, we're down to 5 minutes? My goodness, this show's just flowing right by.
We're doing a show on names.
Well, no, we're going to do a show tomorrow on the Tea Party, and this is why, Norma. We had the Tea Party on a couple weeks ago, and some interesting things came out of that, and I think we just should address them on the show, which we will do tomorrow, and we'll see what goes on from there. But we're going to go into the mailbag because we haven't done that, and we have time to do that here. Where is our mailbag question? See how disorganized I am over here, Norma? Even with a desk, I don't know what I'm doing. There it is. This is a good one. Oh, this is a really good one. Into the mailbag. Do you believe in spanking children? Amber and Ashley. Amber in Ashley.
In Ashley.
Norma, do you believe spanking children?
Well, if the occasion is, I say one swat isn't going to hurt a child. I never spanked, but I gave a swat.
What's the difference between a spank and a swat?
Well, a swat is one thing and say, you're not ever supposed to do that again, period.
And what's a spank?
Well, that's when you spank them enough that it would leave bruises or anything like
Well,
that.
Okay.
yeah.
What do you think, Charlie?
Well, I keep thinking back of high school and how some of the guys bragged that they did things wrong and went to the principal's office, and he had a paddle with holes in it so he could swing it faster. And you could hear these guys being paddled all over the school. I mean, they let out a few whimpers. But paddling or spanking children, I don't know. Sometimes they need it.
Here's the problem I have with it in that regard. People do it in that moment when they're angry, and your adrenaline's going, and you're going to hit a little harder than you think you should. And I will say this. The reason those laws are in place where you can't do that to your child, you could be arrested for that, so on and so forth, which is what they always use. The reason those laws are in place are because people did beat up their kids. So maybe you should go talk to the people who beat their kids up. Go ahead, Marianne.
Well, spanking was so natural years and years ago. I would, believe it or not, I was even spanked one time. I was swatted. It was 6th grade, and her name was Miss Linton. I will never, ever forget this.
My gosh.
And I remember I had a plaid wool skirt on, and I didn't put my library book back properly. I must not have signed my name, or I didn't do something according to the rules. So I had to stand up in front of the classroom, and I had to turn around and bend, and she hit me once with a paddle. Now, that's very, very humiliating. But you know something? I don't have any scars from it. I mean, but I think what Scott is saying, that sometimes it can get out of hand. And a child should be punished, maybe with taking privileges away, no TV, no tweeting, no texting, no using the phone, all kinds of things you could take away from them. But I think in a lot of ways people believe that corporal punishment encourages violence. So there may be something to that.
I don't know. George?
I remember, what'd you say, 6th grade? Or
6th grade.
They're 6 years old.
No, 6th grade.
6th grade.
Very impressionable time.
Right. Same way with me. I was in Caledonia at Palmer's, had like a Snow's Racket store in Marion. Sacks of feeds and stuff outside, but you could jump up on that and grab this rope. And I thought it was fun to grab that rope and pull on it, but it was the town fire bell.
Oh,
no.
And I went up and grabbed that thing because I didn't know, I thought it was a bell, but I didn't know what it was for, and I pulled it, and bang, here, the fire bell went off. And I think the constable's name was Ed Fink. You don't remember that name, do you, Charlie? No.
Ed Fink was a Fink because he
took off his leather belt, and I
Wow.
had shorts on, and he smacked my legs, and it just welted a little bit. It never left any scars or anything, and it hurt. It hurt.
See, that's where the line is crossed, right there.
Yeah.
You say spanking's okay, and then you get a guy like the Fink who comes in with a belt And see, I don't know about
Yeah.
that. Martha, what do you think about spanking?
I had 3 girls and a boy. And Joe and I never, ever laid a hand on our children. But do you know what we did?
What's-
We had them sit in a corner.
And I think that works for a lot of people. I really
That
do.
is the only way to do it. And with my dance students, I wouldn't think of laying a hand
Oh,
on them.
no.
I don't let them have a treat. That's what I do.
And that hurts more sometimes. Or you can really change your tone. A tone sometimes can really get people in line.
That's what we do.
We're going to go into the, we're running out of time here. We're going to go into the mailbag, or the quizzer real quickly. And if you go to Facebook, The Exchange Marion, and answer this question first, you'll receive a free fish dinner from Michael's Fish and Chips, located Mount Vernon Avenue here in Marion, and a half dozen donuts from Andrew's Pastries, located at 1282 Delaware Avenue in Marion. Telephone number 387-3830. Catch them on the net at andrewspastries.com. Here is the question. What future U.S. president once asked Billy Graham to settle an argument with his mom over whether non-Christians could go to heaven? What former U.S. president was having a debate with their mother about whether non-Christians go to heaven, so they called up Billy Graham? Martha, who did that? What president did that?
I hate to say it, but I don't know.
That's a tough one. Marianne, you got a guess here?
Would it be one of the Bushes?
One of the Bushes?
Maybe
Which-
the first Bush?
First Bush? What do you think, George?
Or maybe the second Bush?
Who knows? Clinton?
Clinton? Could be Clinton. He was very close to his mother. Charlie?
Nixon.
Nixon. I never met Mrs. Nixon. Norma?
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. He was close to his mother, too. We'll get the answer to that at the top of tomorrow's program. The answer, man, before we get out of here, the answer is red. What's the question?
Yeah.
Red. Red. What do you think,
Red or
Norma?
red?
Red. Red. The color red.
What's his name's tennis shoes?
Sonic the Hedgehog. That's right. Marianne, what do you think?
What do I see when I look at today's Congress?
Oh, there you go. Martha, red. What's the question?
Boy, that sounds like a good answer.
That's a good answer, Martha.
I'm going to say the same thing as Mary Ann.
Attach on. Charlie?
What color does your face turn when you're embarrassed?
That's a good one.
That's
Norma?
good,
Our
Charlie.
national budget.
In the red. You're right about that. No doubt about that. Red. What is Marianne Michaels' favorite color? And we all know why, because what does red mean in feng shui, Marianne? Means you're... What is promiscuous, right?
Not promiscuous. It doesn't mean that. It just has sexual undertones.
There you go. And that's Marianne's favorite color, and we all, the sexual undertone cover. We'll catch you on Friday talking about the Tea Party. You won't want to miss that.